know that I just know he's the one that's going to help me get over any foolishness, or to start to satisfy my wife 100%.
Right.
To do what I'm supposed to do.
It's like devastating to me to think about my family being split. Why would I stoop so low and be so foolish to really risk my family multiple times?
Now, just when we thought the dust had finally settled, just when fans were getting used to the idea of everyone moving on and co-parenting peacefully, Martell Holt has gone and done something that absolutely nobody saw coming. This isn't a rumor. This isn't a cryptic Instagram post or a teaser for the next season of Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is real, and it changes everything. Over the weekend, while the rest of the world was sleeping, scrolling through memes, or planning their Sunday dinners, Martell allegedly did the unthinkable. He didn't just get back with Arionne Curry. He didn't just introduce her to the kids or take her on a quiet date out of town. No. Word on the street, and now from multiple confirmed sources, is that Martell Holt married Arionne Curry overnight. No big white wedding, no televised special, no dramatic invitation to the cast, just a quiet, legal, shock-to-the-system kind of marriage that has the entire reality TV world picking their jaws up off the floor. But here's the twist. The reason this is so explosive isn't just because he remarried, it's who he married. The same woman who was at the center of the affair that broke up his marriage to Melody. The same woman who lived in the shadows for years while the world called her every name in the book. The woman who never spoke, never clapped back, and never gave an interview. Arionne Curry went from being a secret to being a wife, and nobody, not even the people closest to Martell, expected this to happen so fast. Let's rewind for a second, because we have to understand the weight of this. To really feel why this news has people crying, screaming, and typing in all caps, you have to remember where this story began. Martell and Melody Holt weren't just a couple, they were the couple, the power pair, the kind of black love that made you believe in forever. They built an empire together while cameras rolled. They had 4 beautiful children. They laughed together, fought together, and made money together. On paper, they had the kind of life people pray for.
I bet she is happy today, because I would be too.
But behind the scenes, things were crumbling, and we all know by now that the crack in the foundation had a name: Arionne Curry. When the affair came to light, it wasn't just a scandal, it was a detonation. Melody was heartbroken on national television. Fans watched her cry, watched her question her worth, and watched her try to hold her family together while the man she loved stood in the middle of a storm he created. The betrayal wasn't just private pain, it was public entertainment. And for years, Arionne was painted as the villain who lurked in the background, the other woman, the secret, the reason a good thing fell apart. But here's what's fascinating. Through all of that pain, all those episodes, and all those heated reunions, Arionne never spoke, not once. While Martell apologized and messed up and apologized again, she stayed quiet. While Melody turned her pain into business empires and motivational speeches, Arionne stayed in the cut, raising her son, living her life, letting people talk. And everybody thought that silence meant she was gone for good. People assumed Martell had finally chosen to focus on his kids and fix his image. They assumed Arionne was just a chapter he wanted to close forever.
They hear every little thing that you're saying,
Oh,
Martell.
okay.
Every
Well, hey,
last word
stop
that
looking at
you're
the comments
saying.
and engage. Talk to them.
I am talking.
Oh, look.
You ain't got the filter on,
I
dude.
do. I still on.
Man, God, no.
You look cute with a filter.
No. See, that's the problem.
What's the problem?
But what nobody expected was that the quietest person in the room was actually playing the longest game. Now, let's get into how this actually went down, because the way this marriage happened is almost as dramatic as the marriage itself. For the past few weeks, fans noticed that Martell had been acting different, calmer, less reactive. He wasn't jumping into online arguments, he wasn't subtweeting Melody or throwing shade at the cast. At first, everyone thought he was just maturing, finally getting that therapy everyone been telling him to get. But now, it's clear he was just protecting something, or someone. Sources close to the situation say that Martell and Arionne have been quietly rebuilding their connection for months, not as a fling, not as a messy side thing, but as a real, intentional partnership. And apparently, they decided that if they were going to be together, they weren't going to do it halfway anymore. No more hiding, no more whispers, no more being someone's secret. So, on a random Thursday night, with no family there, no reality TV producers, and no announcement, they said, "I do." Some reports say it happened at a small courthouse. Others claim it was a private ceremony with just a handful of trusted people. Either way, the result is the same. Arionne Curry is now Arionne Holt. And social media has completely lost its mind. Here's where it gets messy, because the reactions aren't just split, they're at war. On one side, you have fans who are furious. They're saying Martell just slapped every person who ever supported his redemption arc right in the face. They're asking, how could he marry the woman who helped destroy his family? How do you explain that to your 4 children with Melody? How do you sit across from your baby mother at a graduation or a birthday party next to the woman who broke her heart? For these fans, this isn't a love story, it's a betrayal all over again. But on the other side, there's a quieter but growing group of people who have a different take. They say Melody has moved on, she's dated other people, she's built a whole new life, so why can't Martell? They argue that Arionne never asked for fame. She never sold her story to a blog. She never tried to tear Melody down. All she did was fall in love with a man who wasn't free at the time. And now, years later, maybe they've both grown up. Maybe they've healed in private. And maybe, just maybe, they deserve a chance to be happy without the world burning them at the stake. But here's the part that really stings. The part that makes this whole thing feel less like a fairy tale and more like a tragedy for someone else. Melody found out the same way we did, through the internet, through gossip blogs and text messages from concerned friends. Imagine rebuilding your entire identity after a public humiliation. Imagine raising 4 kids, building multiple businesses, and becoming a symbol of strength for women everywhere. And then one morning, you wake up to the news that your ex-husband married the woman he cheated with. No heads up, no consideration for how your children might feel, just a headline. You can call Melody strong, you can say she's moved on, but that doesn't mean this doesn't hurt. That doesn't mean she doesn't have to sit her babies down and explain why daddy decided to make this choice. And that's the part of this story that doesn't get enough attention. The kids, the innocent hearts caught in the middle of grown folks' decisions. No matter how you spin this, those children now have to exist in a world where their father's new wife is the same person who caused their mother so much pain. That's not drama. That's deep, complicated, real-life trauma. And let's talk about Arionne for a second, because the woman who just became Mrs. Holt has been called every name you can think of: homewrecker, side chick, the other woman. But here's the thing. She never ran from the label. She never tried to defend herself. She just waited. And now, by marrying Martell, she's essentially saying, I don't care what the world thinks. I'm not hiding anymore. That takes a certain kind of nerve. Some people call it delusion, others call it loyalty. But one thing is undeniable. She stood by a man when it was easier to walk away, when blogs were dragging her name, when she couldn't go to the grocery store without people whispering. She stayed. But staying and marrying are 2 different things, and by making it legal, by putting a ring on it, Arionne just changed the entire dynamic of Love and Marriage Huntsville, because now the show has a problem. How do you film a show about healing and blended families when one of your main cast members just married the person who represented the original sin of the series? Do they give Arionne a camera? Do they let her sit at the reunion? Do they force Melody to breathe the same air as her? Or do they pretend this isn't happening and let the tension boil off screen?
The producers have to be scrambling right now, because this isn't a storyline they wrote. This is real life exploding in their faces. And the fans are already picking sides with their wallets and their remote controls. Thousands of people are threatening to boycott the show if Arionne ever appears on screen. They say they didn't sign up to watch the other woman get rewarded. They watched to see Melody win, to see a Black woman turn pain into power, to see accountability and growth. Not this. But here's the honest truth.
The people saying they'll stop watching, most of them won't. Because this is exactly the kind of raw, uncomfortable, can't-look-away drama that reality TV is built on. It's messy, it's morally gray. Nobody is completely right, and nobody is completely wrong. And that's what makes it so compelling. We want to hate Martell, but we also want to believe people can change. We want to hate Arionne, but we can't ignore that she never pretended to be something she wasn't. And we want to protect Melody, but Melody doesn't need protecting anymore. She needs peace. And that's the saddest part of all, because peace is the one thing this marriage will never give her. Not fully. Not as long as she has to co-parent with Martell, not as long as there are birthdays, holidays, and school events where she has to see Arionne sitting in the stands. That's not anger talking, that's just reality. Some wounds don't close just because time passed. Some wounds stay open because the person who hurt you keeps making choices that remind you of the pain. So, where does this leave us? Martell Holt shocked the world, yes, but was this a power move or a desperate one? Was this love or just stubbornness? Only he knows the answer to that. What we do know is that he traded his redemption story for a different kind of story, one where he's no longer the remorseful ex-husband trying to be better. Now, he's the man who doubled down. He didn't walk away from Arionne to save his image, he walked down the aisle with her instead. And whether you respect that or hate it, you have to admit it's bold. As for Arionne, she finally got what she waited for. A ring, a last name, a seat at a table that never wanted her. But now that she's here, will it be worth it? Will the whispers stop? Will the cast accept her? Or will she find out that being married to Martell Holt means inheriting all of his enemies, all of his baggage, and all of the pain he caused before she ever said, "I do"? And Melody. Sweet, strong, silent Melody. She hasn't said a word publicly yet. And honestly, she might not need to. Her silence has always been louder than any interview. But don't mistake silence for weakness. If there's one thing this woman has proven over and over again, it's that she knows how to turn pain into purpose. And while Martell and Arionne are busy celebrating their secret wedding, Melody is probably in her office, closing another deal, hugging her children, and reminding herself that her worth was never tied to a man who couldn't choose her first. This story isn't over. It might never be over, because when you mix love, betrayal, children, and reality TV cameras, there's no such thing as a clean ending. All we can do is watch. All we can do is learn. And all we can do is ask ourselves the same question Martell probably should have asked a long time ago. Just because you can marry someone, does that mean you should? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you Team Melody for life? Do you actually support Martell and Arionne? Or are you just exhausted by the whole thing? Like, share, and subscribe, because trust me, when the reunion special airs, nobody is ready for that conversation. I'll see you in the next one.